everybody. Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Welcome to our LinkedIn Live today. I'm Allison Furch. I'm the Executive Director at GALA, and I'm joined today by most of the GALA team. Unfortunately, Jessica DiPietro, our Data Program Manager, is sick and not with us today. So I'm going to do my best to fill in for her and fill those big shoes later. But first, I just wanted to welcome you to 2024. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on at GALA and how you should build GALA into your plans this year as you work to become a better professional and also grow your company or your team, grow your knowledge, grow your network. We're going to tell you how you can do that and tell you a little bit about what's coming. So first of all, Happy New Year. I hope you had some time to recoup and rejuvenate and look forward to a new year during some holiday break, I hope. We're off to a fast start with a lot going on already at GALA. The team's going to give you some updates about what's going on in their corners of the world, if you will. And before I pass off to Ali, I'm going to just say one thing and make a plug for the European Language Industry Survey, which is open right now. GALA is a partner in that with several other organizations. It's become a great tool for benchmarking. We've been running this survey for several years, and I encourage you to take it and just be mindful that there are different versions of the survey. So when you begin, make sure you make the right selection. So that's just a quick plug from me. And without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic to Ali Dwyer, our Events and Communications Manager.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. As many of you probably know, we are in the thick of conference planning here at GALA. The conference is coming up. It'll be here before we know it, April 21st through the 23rd in Valencia, Spain. And I am super happy to share with you that the program will be live super shortly. I'm not going to give away too much, but just keep an eye out on your inbox for that. The program committee has been hard at work over the past few months developing a killer program for you all. And just for a little preview, we'll be offering over 40 hours of peer content presented by more than 80 leading industry thought leaders. And then the program will also feature 10 dedicated social networking opportunities, including not one, but 2 speed networking sessions, which have always been an attendee favorite. So like I said, just keep an eye out on that on your inbox and for that email announcement. I'd also just like to take a minute to thank the program committee because, like I said, they put in hours and hours of work with ISA mainly, but I get to work with them a little bit as well, which is awesome. So the program committee this year is Jose Palomares, Carlo Eugeni, I can't say it. I'm sorry. I apologize. Carol Wagner, Laura Rossi, Marta Balash, Olga Beregovaya, and Paul Barlow. So if you see them, know them, give them a big pat on the back. Finally, we also have several sponsor and exhibitor packages remaining, and I'd like to encourage you to check out those packages if you're interested in getting your brand in front of a very targeted audience and expanding your network. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm available at events@galaglobal.org. And that's it from me.
All right, I'm up next. So I'm Alicia Diedrich, GALA's Membership and Engagement Manager. And with the theme of today's session of doing your business better, how to be a better business professional in 2024, I wanted to tell you a little bit about GALA's special interest groups. These are member-only programs that are a little different than our standard webinar series and different than our academy courses. They meet once a month or perhaps every other month, and for a short presentation followed by a lot of discussion and networking time. It's a chance to really jump in and build your professional community while you're learning about these special topics. So with that, we have the active groups right now are audiovisual localization, MTPE training, who's doing a special on AI, inclusive language and terminology, the client side group, and interpreting. So as a GALA member, or if you're interested in learning more about what the different topics and agendas are, check out our events calendar and you can register for any of those upcoming meetings. With that, GALA also tries to do our jobs better every year. And for us to do our roles better, we rely on your member and non-member this coming year feedback. And we do an annual survey for our members. So please, later this month, you'll receive an email and we'll announce it here on LinkedIn that the annual member survey and the annual non-member survey are now open. And we really appreciate it if you can take 5 minutes to share your feedback with us, what programs you like, what programs you don't use. It helps us do our jobs better so that you're getting the most out of your experience. And then one final thing, if you're not a member and any of this sounds interesting to you, and you're interested in coming to GALA Valencia, we will have a special promotion available if you register for the conference and join GALA at the same time. And all the details for that will be open when registration opens. So thank you.
Okay, and so I'm up next then. I find it, I don't know whether I can compete with you guys, especially with the conference program, but okay. So my name is Isabella Massardo and I'm a content strategist here at GALA, and I take care of many programs, and one of them is the webinar programs. And we have, I think we can say that we're starting the year with a blast. We have starting next week, the 18th of January, we have the first part of a 2-part webinar on machine interpretation. So anything you want to know about the state of the art and the future developments of machine interpreting, including the limitations, generative AI, voice cloning, profiling, everything your heart's desire. We're going to discuss it with Claudio Fantinuoli, who is CTO at Kudo. And then on the 24th of January, we have what we call the APAC webinar, which is a webinar that takes place at 10 a.m. European time. And it's especially for our members in the APAC region, but also our members in the Middle East, in Africa, in Europe. And this webinar starts at 10 a.m., as I said, and it's going to be presented by Fatih Kocaman, who is localization manager at Booking.com, and he's going to talk about the challenges of quality and UX localization. And then suddenly speech technology is extremely important, especially when AI-based. And so we have 2 sponsored webinars, one by One Meta on February the 1st and one by VoiceSeed. And they're going to also talk about using AI to create synthetic voices with emotions, basically. So it's all very interesting, and I invite you to join. We also have our first GALA Academy for 2024, and Ali and I are very excited about it. It's basically 4 sessions on process design to automation, and it's going to be led by none others than the automation maestro Istvan Lengyel, which I think he doesn't need an introduction, but you can find everything about the events in our calendar, and I think Ali has just posted everything in the chat. So that's it for webinars for now. But I know that Alison has something more to say. Actually, Jessica, our colleague, should have been here. She's not. Alison, you wanted to talk about one of Jessica's programs, right? The one that started last year.
Well, I was really hoping Jessica would talk about her program, because this is truly her baby. This is something that she's going to work to develop and hopefully grow into a really valuable member program. But I will do my best. She's left me with lots of notes, so I will do my best to do the program justice. So let's jump in, Isa.
Okay. Do you want to remind us, first of all, what the program is, what it's called, and why we developed it, why Jessica developed it?
Sure. There's a little bit of history to it, and it grew out of what we used to call the pulse surveys. So when I joined GALA almost 14 years ago, one of our key programs was a quarterly pulse survey. It looked at only a few indicators of financial well-being, I would say. And we used to do that quarterly, like I said, and then it just kind of sunsetted naturally. We didn't run it for a lot of years. During the pandemic, we started running it again because naturally there was a lot of concern and consternation about how the businesses were doing. So we resurrected it. We did it for a couple of years during the pandemic, and then it went quiet again. But we realized that this is pretty valuable information, and it's something that our members have been asking us for years, which is to say some benchmarking data, questions about not only financial performance, but about human resources questions, about allocation of resources, about areas of investment. And so this very first Business Barometer survey that we ran at the end of last year was focused more or less on financial indicators. Jessica has in the works to do a couple of other surveys this year. I think that it's going to include something looking at human resources. And again, there's a focus on benchmarking. So human resources, and then also we did a very quick kind of take the pulse survey of your use of AI at work, but we're going to do a deep dive on that topic later this year too. So each of these, the vision is to run each of these surveys once per year so that we begin to accumulate year-over-year data and look at trends. And we'll produce reports based on the results that will be free to all GALA members, and of course available for purchase if you're not a GALA member. So that's the background of the program and a little bit of how it came to be.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the Business Barometer? Because we were all very excited about this very first publication that we had.
Yep. Well, so it was a collaboration. GALA staff sat down and brainstormed lots of questions. We looked at other industry surveys. We looked at surveys outside our industry. And Jessica sort of led this exercise of whittling down to really important questions that would be useful to anybody running or working in an LSC, and also those of you who are working on teams or in departments on the enterprise side. So each of these questions were performance indicators, like about business operations, about pricing, about revenue, about allocation of resources, about how much of your work is outsourced, and to, how many clients constitute the majority of your revenues. All kinds of questions that we thought would be important for leaders to know. What we want to do is take a look at these year over year, especially since we are in the midst of rapid changes, as we have been for several years. So that was the Business Barometer. And like I said, there's going to be some others as well. One last thing, we asked others too for input. It wasn't just the GALA team. So we asked the GALA board, we asked some of our member committees. And I feel like we came up with a nice core of questions. So that said, if you review the report and you feel like something's missing, or you wish to see something presented with more nuance or granularity, let us know, because this is a new program and it's a growing program, and your feedback is appreciated.
Okay. Do you want to give something like a sneak preview of what's in the report, or?
Sure. And then I wasn't paying attention to the screen, but maybe Ali, or did someone share the link to the report?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, it's 37 pages. It's got a lot of beautiful and easy to understand charts and graphs. There's some written analysis. There's some segmentation, which we'll talk about in a minute. On the LSC side, we have quite a few indicators relating to, business operations and money. So I think that'll be interesting to a lot of the LSC folks. On the client side, we feel like those questions, they're different, obviously, but they should help. Well, let me back up for a second. We know that a lot of our members that are on the client side or the enterprise side can sometimes feel isolated, and they really appreciate connecting with their counterparts in other companies. And so this should be a quick way for you to just glance and see, what are other people in companies like mine doing? How many languages are they working in? How much control do they have over their budget? So some of those kinds of questions are answered. I'm just looking at Jessica's notes to make sure I do a faithful representation for her. I think that's it, Isa.
Yeah. Can you say something about the segmentation, because you mentioned it? And I know that for Jessica was a very important step in the whole process.
Yeah, well, it's really important to Jessica and to all of us to let you know that this is like a kind of a scientific approach. We do a lot to clean. Jessica does a lot to clean the data, make sure that the responses that we've received are valid and are not duplicates, for example, from the same organizations, because that would muddy the waters. So we look at region in the globe. We look at staff size. We look at revenue range. And you will find in that report, there's some curious trends that can be like tied to specific regions. And that was, to me, pretty interesting. So when applicable, Jessica's included some kind of regional insights, for example, or staff size. Big companies do this, small companies seem to do that. So it'll help you benchmark, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And I know that Jessica had some ideas on how to, ways for her to suggest people how to use the report. With the result.
Yeah, I mean, truly it's a benchmarking report. So the whole purpose of benchmarking is to see how you measure up against the competition, okay, or partner companies, depending on how you want to look at it. So, depending on what your role is, you might be curious to see about marketing budget. How much are other companies, and by the way, regionally, that varies. How much are other companies spending on marketing? Should I be spending more? Am I spending too much? What about technology? How much are others spending on technology? Or like if you're on the client side, how many other companies are developing their own tech versus buying it from a third party? So I think that can be validating, like, okay, I'm doing it right. I'm right in there, in the middle of the bell curve, for example. Or it can be a wake-up call, possibly, like, holy cow, we're spending a lot of money on marketing. Yeah. Perhaps we should pare that back. So I think we can show, Jessica has a couple of sneak peeks to share here. So we could show this first chart, for example, what Jessica said about this one, I just mentioned it, right? Like software. Are people spending, am I spending so much more where software licensing fees would rank as my number one or my number two, for example? And I think you can just figure out, how do you fit in? I think Jessica also wanted to show what kind of metrics and performance indicators members are looking at on the regular. And that could potentially be a wake-up call to you to say, oh, we don't measure that. Perhaps we should. Just as an aside, when we're talking about AI, I think everyone's more or less in agreement that like getting your data house in order, that's what needs to be happening right now. So these are more about operations, but it can also be, applied, and hopefully we'll see that in our upcoming AI survey as well. We'll understand more what you guys are doing about getting your data ready for that. So these are some financial performance indicators you could ask yourself, am I measuring these? Should I be measuring these? I think finally, let's see. Some of our members have been talking a lot about margin pressure in recent years, and certainly linguists do as well. And we wanted to get a sense of, the reality. And so you can see that the vast majority of companies do experience margin pressure. I think that depending on what's important to you and your company in this sort of phase of maturity, you'll find something different in the report. But to summarize, it's benchmarking, how you measure up against the competition.
Okay. Okay, let's bring this down. The report was published in December 2023, so just a few months ago. Is it still current, you think? Is it still something that can be considered up to date? Or with AI disrupting everything?
Well,
What do you think?
I mean, AI is moving fast, but it's not moving that fast. So yes, I do think it's still useful. The data is still interesting, but I think the questions are still interesting because they can prompt you to ask questions about your own business or your own team, or think about things through looking through a different lens. For example, I think they're not going to go stale anytime soon, these figures. We feel like we have room to grow as well. And so I just want to say one more time, if you look at the report and you have questions or you have feedback, please let us know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. You can send your feedback at info@gala-global.org, right? So we're showing the link to to where people can download the report. It's free for members, and it's just a tiny fee for non-members, and really it's going to be very useful.
It's super cheap, honestly, compared to other reports
the amount
that you
of
might
work
find
that
out
Jessica,
there.
yes, and the amount of work that Jessica has put into it together with the members and everyone. So
Isa, can we show the snapshots one more time? Because there's a couple more, it's teaser content. So I just wanted to show you a couple of other slides that Jessica prepared.
So we were at this one.
We were here. Yep. And so another question we asked was about budget. And then on the client side, we asked about control over the budget or influence over the budget. So that one might be interesting. This was also a client side question. And I mean, this is curious, right? There are some organizations that are not being asked to spend less or to save money. This is a client-side question. Are you satisfied with the technological level of your language vendors? I think this is particularly interesting in a time where just tech is changing fast. And so LSCs, you're doing a great job. That's it. I just wanted to show those last couple slides that I had skipped, Isa.
Okay, thanks. I think that's all for now. It's a lot, actually, right?
It's a lot. So just a quick plug for Jessica's she didn't get to do her report at the beginning about what's going on in her world, but Alicia mentioned the member survey. It's tentatively scheduled to open on the 15th. That's next week. Please take the member survey and let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you use, what you don't use. This is really like our best opportunity to hear from you and to help us revise and pivot if we need to. There's prizes if you take it and you're selected. There's 3 prizes. So there's your incentive. They're all related to, I think, conference.
Yes.
And then the automation and AI survey that we mentioned, that's scheduled to open at the beginning of February. And that'll be kind of the first of its kind. And we really want a lot of people to take that so we have a nice body of data to work with. So that's what's happening in Jessica's world. And I'll just do one more plug. I know survey fatigue is real, but please do also take a look at the European language industry survey that's open now through the end of the month. So you have a whole month to take it. It is somewhat lengthy, shouldn't take you more than about 10-15 minutes maximum, but it's also a great survey.
Yeah, exactly. And it also helps us, right?
Nice perspective. Yeah.
It also helps us do our work better. The member survey, definitely, especially for me, for content, seeing all the ideas that our members have and requests for content. There are a couple of remarks from Jose Palomares. He says, I might be biased, but I love seeing the insights from the buyer side. Thank you so much, Jose. And he also has a question. If we have suggestions for other things we would like to see in similar future reports, can we also reach out with those? Of course, I would say. Yeah, definitely.
I hope that by now everybody perceives the GALA team to be very approachable, very open-minded, and very keen on member service and member value. So if you have anything related to member value, good, bad, or ugly, please come to us, any of us, all of us.
Okay, I think we're done for today. We'll be back very soon, right?
Yeah, this week, I wanted to say one more thing. This week, GALA team's working on our annual goals, and a lot of what you heard today comprises some of those goals. We're really committed to delivering member value. That's why we're here, and we're looking forward to engaging with a lot of you during the year in 2024.
Okay. Okay, I don't see any comments for now, but I'm sure if there are any comments, we can reply tomorrow or the next day again. So let's close the sessions. Thank you, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.